Healing is more than a hashtag.
Healing is prioritizing your well-being.
Healing is growing through our painful moments.
Healing is loving yourself more and more each day.
Healing is not always pretty, but it's worth it.
Healing is gratitude for another beautiful day.
Healing is gratitude for another beautiful day. Like,
Yes,
it's the only way to start. You
It really-
know,
that's it. It
healing-
really is.
I-
Another day has come. Let us just be grateful for it. That's it.
let us be grateful. Let us walk in humility. You know, and blessings and shalom to everybody.
Yes,
You know,
that part.
you know, healing is really allowing yourself just to go with the flow and do what you need to do and have your conversations and love and live and laugh. And it's gratitude.
Yes.
It's gratitude for the bad moments, for the hard moments, for those things that were tough, but it's also looking forward to that measure of peace. So when I hear that, it kind of checks me and reminds me that when I'm healing, I'm grateful that I don't hate this process. You know what I mean? I'm going on a
Exactly.
small tangent, but every time I hear it, a new thought springs up in my head.
Yes,
and the person saying it, I know you've lived that and it's authentic.
Yes.
So I want to make sure to say
Absolutely.
that too. You know?
All of that. Oh, and I love listening to your voice as you just kind of say and sway. And so, hey there, y'all.
Hey y'all, you know, I think it's good to give big ups to people, you know, and especially
I
as Black
agree.
women, you know, we don't give enough compliments, and we don't like if you're doing something good, we're gonna say it, and it's awesome and it's
I
beautiful.
agree. I know recently I heard you sing. I said, sis, you better sing with that beautiful voice.
You know,
Yes, we gotta
I'm
like
grateful.
shout each other. We gotta lift each other up. And we really do. I believe in that. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
No one else is going to do it, and that's the reality, you know, that we're saying. No one else is going to do it, so we have to be the ones to do it. All right, so we're all in the healing zone and all that, and grateful, and you know, this episode we're going to jump into part 2, but before we do that, we're going to just give you an introduction of ourselves. You know, if this is your first episode, hey, if you've been here since the beginning, hey.
Yeah.
My name is Steph Jones, also known as Lila Calandra, and I am a marriage and family therapist and a mindfulness life coach that has committed to living a life full of letting people know that you can actually reach the best version of yourself, and you can live in a state of peace that isn't fake, you know, and that's the vow and commitment I've made. And this helps me to live that out. And I am joined by my beautiful and amazing co-host. I will let her.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Amen, fellow beautiful, amazing co-host. She is everything that she said and more. She is, yes. And I am none other than Lakeisha J. Rigg, among other hats that I wear. I am a career coach and a mental health advocate, and I also vow to do the things that was mentioned by my dear co-host, Lilac, Steph. All her aliases, she's great no matter what you call her. So we're here doing it, helping the people, helping ourselves as well, because we're in it right with you. So here we are.
We're in it right with you, and we're healing right with you and all that. So all right, so we're jumping into our topic. You know, we did the 2-part series, and we talked about hurt people, and it was really good, and it really just gave the openness and the exploration. But most people don't go on after that. You know, everyone says the phrase in the statement, hurt people, but then you just stop there. But no, we're pushing the gas forward. If hurt people, then healed people heal people. So we're going to be talking about that, and what responsibility do healed people have to heal others? How do we balance that? How do you know if you're in a space to heal someone else? Like, how can you measure that? Because at times we can think that we're there to help someone, and then we talk about transparency and we talk about the capacity. And I was just talking to a really good friend of mine about tolerating people, and do we have the capacity to tolerate? All of that comes into knowing and measuring if you are ready to heal. And should we say we're ready to heal and we're not, then we're going to be in a load of trouble. What do you think about that, sis?
Yeah, I think self-awareness is so important so that, to your point, we can know when we're ready to really do anything along our life journey. But in the case of what we're talking about, to see if we are healed, if we are in a good headspace, if we are just in a good space, period, so that we can help someone else. Because if we can, that's great. To our episode topic of heal people, then that's a beautiful thing. But if we are still struggling in certain things in certain ways, then we likely will be triggered ourselves, or be taken down, into a spiral, something that somebody that is not healed, that we're trying to help them, and they just might get us on a pop off, and we just take them back down to a place that we vowed not to go back down to. So we do need to, I agree, make sure that we are in the space to be able to help others, before we try to start helping anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's key. And that awareness, you mentioned the perfect A word, like that awareness is key. That we're measuring and we're knowing and we're seeing what we can and can't do, and then saying, I can do this, and I'm looking at all the people who are pulling from me. Do I have the capacity to give them from what I have? Not from my portion, but from my overflow. We talked about that.
Right.
Like, I'm giving you from my overflow. I'll never give you from my portion because that portion was allotted for me. And then we find ourselves depleted and unable to heal. And we just go back in the cycle of hurt people, hurt people. If we want to stay in the cycle of heal people, then it's like we have to make sure that we're actually healed. That's number one. Are we indeed healed, and then are we healed enough to help other people? So I have a couple
Right.
questions to navigate us and things like that, because if we're healing and if we're in a space of healing, how do we measure and how do we know that we are at the level of healing where we're able to heal others? Like, what does that look like for us?
Yeah, no, that's a good question to start us on this topic. How do we how do we know that we're healed? I guess one thing that comes to my mind is that, um, we know that we have a certain level of calmness. We know that when we're in dialogue, say with others, something that, yeah, we may have been bothered by, it may be something that has been problematic, something that's triggering, something that we've struggled with. But when we know that we have a new way about us, where we might still be somewhat bothered, but we're not going to lash out. We're not going to use our tongue to be negative. We're able to work through some of our, say, coping strategies that we've utilized, whether we take a breath or whatever we do. I think a measurement of healing is partially one's ability to just kind of like brush it off, whatever it is that might be bothering us, just what comes to my mind at first. Like, in our humanity, not to say something may not bother us still, but it's really in the reaction of how we react to something. So I think just off the top, that's a good measurement, if we're able to be calm, cool, and collected, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I mean, because it's an assessment, and on my other podcast, I talked about that our life has to be a business assessment, right? Because we're all speaking healing language in whatever platform we're on. You have to have a business plan for yourself. And I talked to my dad the other day about having a board of directors for your life. That who is on your
Mm,
board of directors that can say, let me check in, let me see what's going on. I vote for this, I vote yay or nay for this. That's how it is when you're healing, though, that you're saying, where am I really and authentically, and how am I able to really flow through this? And healing, you can't fake it. Either you have healing or you don't have healing. And all your healing will be reflected in how you, right? You just said it, communication. You know what I mean? And I think it's funny at times that we live out this healing in very, very close moments, right? Where it's like, okay, something could just happen. And then it's like, oh, this is exactly what we're talking about. Because healing will test us, sis. You know this. Oh, you said you're healed? Well,
it will.
let me test the healing. Oh, you said you're healed? Oh, you said you don't use your mouth to hurt anybody anymore? Okay, let me test this out and let me see what this looks like for you. to be put in this position that could be triggering, that could make you upset or angry or just be like, what's going on? Let me see how you handle this and navigate this, because the healing will be the thing that coats our mouth. And it says, say it like this, but not like this. You can still get your point across, but you don't have to cut people down. So when we're able to evaluate, and I was just talking to one of my line sisters about this, it was beautiful. It just ties in. I said, I've been tested a lot in how healed I am because I'm not reacting in the same way that I used to. Oh, listen, I can cut up. I can cut up. But I don't want to do that. That's
Right.
unhealed me. Healed
Right.
me says I can get my point across. You can hear the truth and the strength of my words, but I don't need to see your soul damaged. I used to like to see people crying. That was me. So I knew I had to heal from that. And
Yes.
that is so I'm going right back to the assessment. I'm agreeing with what you're saying, that we're
Yeah.
assessing and seeing, if I say I'm healed, because it's one thing to say you're healed and another thing to know it because of how your actions, like how much of our healing is tied into our actions.
Sis, I couldn't agree with you more if I wanted to. And it's interesting how you're sort of reflecting as one of the things that I love to do, and how you talk about being tested, because I was tested today, as a matter of fact, prior to our lovely show that we're doing now. I had a family function, and there was someone there who literally cursed me out. And the old me, I would say I'm not really one to regularly like lash out, but I am one to internalize in the past and would let things affect my mood. Like if I was happy and then seeing or being around someone who has hurt me would ruin my day. I promise you, I kept on. I had a wonderful time. And that is an indicator, because our healing and the way that it looks is personal. It's based on what we've struggled with, and you've shared yours and I've shared a bit of mine. And throughout, this journey with all of you, we'll continue to share. But it's personal. So for me, what it looks like, literally right before here, and see, I'm good. Like I'm not. I would be crying inside. I would be struggling with if someone had spoken, to me after they'd hurt me and tongue twisted or whatever, just like the little shell crawling in, just like this person hurt me. But the new me, the healed me, that is taking a lot of work. So, listeners know that what we're talking about, this is taking a lot of internal work. So the new me continues to have a beautiful and blessed, grateful day. No one is going to disturb my spirit for nothing, because it's my choice to let them do that, right? Some of us say, oh, that person made me do this. Now, nobody's going to make me feel any more or less grateful for the day the Lord has made and has given to me. So that's an example of healing in action. And this is not even about an hour ago. And I'm on the show with my sis, and we chopping it up and we talking to the people. So if that's not healing and evidence of, then I don't know. But so we telling y'all the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yeah. And I think to reiterate that we are living this too, that we have not arrived at some healing utopia where we're just able to park and be healed forever. We are living this every day. We mess up, we make mistakes. We have to go back and apologize. We have to watch our tone, our mouth, what we say, how we interact. We have to do all of that. And we're doing it in public because we have to be the models that show you can actually heal, and there is a healthy way to navigate controversies, confrontations, talks, chats, check-ins. You can be healed. And when you reach a certain level of healing, because there are different levels of healing, right? We talked about that. It goes up and up, or sometimes you take yourself down. We're the weapon that prospers against ourselves sometimes. So you can take your own self down, right? But when you're at a certain level of healing and you've navigated the path, and really we're depending on Abba, our Father, to tell us where to go, and we know that He's navigated us, and we're like, oh, I can look back and see the path. I would be remiss to say, oh, I don't want to lead someone else on this path that I know works. We're the ones who were cut up. We had to cut down the big jungle, trees and leaves. So we have the scratches and scrapes on our face. but
Mm,
we're leading other people through this healing process because healed people are mandated to heal people. That we
mm,
don't just, it's like you have a blessing, you don't just keep it in your hand bound up. You open it up and you say, I was healed, I know the path, I know it with my eyes closed because we walked it so many times. I'm going to now help you get through it and be open to being beat up. I mean, that's where I'm navigating nexus. Like, what does it look like for us to have to be open to being beat up on this healing journey? Healers get beat up all the time.
mm,
What does that look like, and how do we navigate that safely? Where we're like, I know I'm gonna get a little beat up, but where do I balance the savior complex that I don't have
mm,
to save anybody with? I'm assigned to heal you, and I'm assigned to help you with your healing, but I don't want to be beat up and I don't want to be dragged back to a certain place.
yeah. So that's a good uh sort of question to ponder on and for us to touch on, because it can be very challenging, being called to heal and help, and wanting to help and wanting to be there for our brothers, our sisters, and so forth, but at the same time not wanting to sort of withstand the beating, because people are not at that level of healing where you are. So there will likely be some kind of pushback. So I would say for me, what I have been doing, and on this journey where we're at, no one among us is perfect, but the one above. So it's kind of like we're figuring it out as we go. But I would say for me, I lean into my discernment, and
Mm,
I get to observe who it is that perhaps is gravitating towards me, or that I seem to be called to help them in their healing. And I sort of try to figure out if they're receptive
mm,
to whatever it is that I might share, or just impart, or what have you. And depending on their level of being receptive and so forth, then I will, especially if they seek it and they want, because not everybody wants you to help them, and at any given time of their life. So I really take the time for my well-being and theirs, whoever it might be, to make sure that they want this help, that they're able to receive it, and just kind of to get to know and see little by little how I can help them. And if I discern that for whatever reason that person is just maybe not at a place to receive, then I'm out. I'm out, because then that's gonna possibly bring me back down. Especially, like I said about me, I'm someone who has struggled with internalizing, feeling bad if not only someone makes me feel bad, or what I used to say, they making me feel bad, but or if they seem like someone is going through something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to take that on and help them be better. I know that can spiral me down. So I'm very keen on discerning where someone is, to see if it is a healthy relationship to help that person, for them and me. So that's kind of just off the top, just kind of what comes to my mind when I think about that balance. Just make sure that person is ready. Make sure that person wants that help. And it may be a timing thing. You kind of just give them a little, like, I'm here for you. I don't want to push anything on you, but just know that I'm here. I want to help you, whatever. And then if we kind of don't like be too pushy, if you will, then maybe when they're ready after some of their own life experiences, because life will humble you. Life will humble
well,
you. It will humble you to the point where you're like, you know what? Let me come back to Steph, because I know she always seemed to be someone to help me. And I realized that life be lifing out here. So now I want to come to her, or come to Lakeisha.
yeah,
So that's what I lean on. Like, let you be humbled, maybe, and then maybe you'll see that I was really trying to help you.
yeah. That I was really trying to help you. I was really trying to look out for you. And we have to make sure that those who we are thinking about helping to heal are assigned to us.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, and I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's like you want to make sure that the person is ready. Yes, absolutely, because there's a level of openness that you have to healing. If not, then it's like you're just pushing things to a closed door, and the closed door will never open and receive. It's not even a brick wall. The door is shut, sealed,
Mm,
concrete, guard dog, like armed guard, like no one's getting by. So you don't want to waste your energy. And life is about energy. And I don't mean in a weird, mystical way. I mean, you have enough energy, you have enough gas in your tank to handle your assignments. If we happen to be on an assignment, maybe that we really want, we're just, oh my gosh, I want to be assigned to you. But if it's not on our assignment list, if we're looking at our assignment list and it's like, okay, it's not here, that I can't take you on, because we risk the danger of doing healing burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And you're so helpful and so healing and just in all these spaces of healing, and you're really burnt out because you have a whole bunch of people on your docket that shouldn't be there. It's family members, it's friends, it's people that you love with every fiber of your being, but you're not assigned to them. And we have to live on this healing journey where we can only take on our assignments. That I can't take on your assignment, because then I'm completing plagiarism, because I'm completing your assignment, and I shouldn't be. You're assigned to someone else. I'm doing your assignment. Now it's like, come on, we're in territory. Then when my assignment comes to me, I have to use myself first. Again, we're on the healing journey with everybody. My assignment comes to me and I don't have the energy for it. And I don't have the knowledge, and I don't have the tolerance, and I don't have the grace for it. So we're talking about getting beat up in the healing process. That means that I have the grace to take a few punches, that I have the grace to take a few slaps, because I know that you're healing and you're growing. And in due time, you'll realize I need to stop beating up my destiny helper. Let me be kind. But if we're taking on all these assignments and we're saying, oh, I want to help you, and you get a healing, and you get a healing, you get a
It's
healing.
true. It's true. We're not out here doing the Oprah style. You get some money, you get some. We're not doing that. We're supposed to. You're right. It's true. And it is a burnout, unnecessarily, because that wasn't for us. So you are 100% right. I agree.
It wasn't for us. And then we're like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm so tired, I'm so depleted. We have a ton of things on our list that should not be there. And the encouragement and the admonition is for us to begin to assess our assignment list. Who is not supposed to be on there? And that's a painful process.
It
If
is.
you're called to be a healer that heals, you better make sure that all your energy is going to who you're assigned to, that who you literally have the grace to be with. Because if you're not assigned to that person and you happen to be giving out gas, energy, resources, time, treasure, talent, when we need it, sis, we don't have it. We're
We
digging
won't have
everywhere.
it.
Searched
Trust
all
me.
over, couldn't find it.
You are, look, all of what you're saying, I've struggled with that. Like the other
Me
healers,
too.
I have. Trust me, I have been burnt out, depleted, but then I learned all of what you're saying. It is a learned process. It really is. Look, no, we cannot take on what we are not called to, because we will be burnt out and be frustrated. We won't have enough grace for ourselves, for the others, be mad, so it's true. It's so true.
It's true. The list could go on, and it's like, and it's even healing to have these conversations, because
Yeah,
these are the things that we don't want to talk about. That these are the nasty sides of healing. That behind
yeah.
that nice velvet red, beautiful curtain on the stage, that we have to go behind there. This is
Mm,
like the Wizard of Oz or the Wiz. You have to open up and show that the wizard is really not a wizard. It's painful. It's something that
yeah.
we don't want to accept. And a whole bunch of healers are dealing with burnout, and we're still operating in the burnout. That's dangerous, not just for us, that's dangerous for anyone you come in contact with. That if we as counselors, as therapists, as healers, that we're in burnout, we're in resentment, because burnout is really resentment. And I want to be, I want to be honest. You begin to resent, if
True.
you have teacher burnout, you begin to resent what you were purposed for, and you begin to resent your passion. So we have
Right.
burnout with the thing that we were purposed to do. That means that there's too much export and not enough input.
So
You
true.
you you know we're giving out, giving out, and nothing is filling us back. And then it's like, oh, I hate this healing journey now because everyone's taking from me. Is everyone taking from us, or are we giving to everyone even if they didn't ask for it?
Right. No, very true. And we need to be along the lines of our assignment, not taking on, what we're not assigned to. We need to be intentional. Like we can't just, like you said, take on all these things or give all away all our energy. And I agree with you as far as energy. We only have but so much. So if we're giving it away and depleting ourselves, then I mean, this sounds kind of maybe mean or whatever, but then we only have ourselves to blame if we're giving it away. And some of us, when we're on this journey on early stages, we'll be like, oh man, they depleting me, they taking my energy, they taking my time.
Yes.
But
No.
we are unintentionally giving it away until we then realize, along the lines of what you're saying, we realize that we were not intended to give out of our portion. We have to
You
give
weren't.
out of overflow. And once we learn these things and we start to practice these things, then we'll realize how much freer we are, how much we have for ourselves, how much we have for who we're assigned to and who we're called to, and all these things. So it's so true. And it takes work, but once we figure it out and we keep on doing it, because it's an ongoing thing. You're not just healed and done. It's not a one and done. You
One
gotta
done, one and
you.
done, one and
Yeah,
done.
it's not that. You have to just on a regular basis. You gotta stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Stay
You have
ready.
you have to stay ready. You're spitting straight facts. You have to stay ready, and you have to know your limits. That we want to heal everybody. True healers, true authentic healers want to heal everybody in the entire universe, the whole world, even the aliens. We want to heal everybody, but we can't.
Can't do it. Can't
We
do it.
can't do it. And that's the
Yeah.
hardest part. And I mentioned the savior complex. When you
Mm,
get into the savior complex, you become the God and you become the idol. And at times we stop people's healing because we're doing everything for them.
right.
That yes, we want to help and heal and give everybody what we need to, but there are some trials and tribulations that we have to go through. It builds our character. And it's so funny. I prayed a prayer today. I'm like, Lord, get me out of the way if you're trying to teach someone a lesson. I don't want to come to your rescue.
Mm,
If you're trying to be taught a lesson, that's the true thing of a healer, too. You have to know when to step back.
yes.
We're talking about healing and we're helping and we're coaches, but then we got to step back and let the healing actually do the work that we're talking
Absolutely.
about it, coaching about it. But
Right.
then when they're going through a trouble or an issue or there's a pruning process, when you're in the fire and you're being burned and refined,
Yeah.
we're turning the fire down or we're stopping the cutting. That's not healing. Now we're enabling. It's a
Exactly.
very, it's a thin
That's
line
in line. Yeah.
between enabling someone and helping them to grow and heal. And
Yeah.
healers, this is the admonition. We have to make sure that we're not jumping into the enabling where, oh no, I'm going to make so much allotment. Yes, we have grace. Yes, we have patience. Yes, we have tolerance. But at what point do we say, I'm in the way of your healing? Let me take a step back because I don't want you to see me as the one who could give you every single thing when the focus should be up and then it starts looking this way. No, the focus, look up to go look to the hills, which come your help. Don't look to
Yes.
Lakeisha. Don't look to Steph.
No, exactly. And it's such a good point, sis. And I think, speaking from myself, what I've had to work on to avoid that enabling, if you will, and so giving that person the opportunity to grow and heal and so forth is just getting to a point in one's life as a healer, counselor, therapist, where we want to see them learn how to fish, if you will, without giving it to them. Like we look at it, we change our mindset from I want them to have this to I want them to be able to learn. And we also, and this is kind of hard for some of us, the person we're trying to help heal, they may very well be like, oh, can you just do this? Can you just whatever? We have to be willing to say no. Back to one of my
No.
favorites, no is a full sentence. We have to be willing to say no. And even if like inside we're like, oh, I wish I could just do it for them, it's so easy for me to just do it, we have to resist that temptation. And to
Yes.
your point, know that this is a part of their journey, and think of it like once they learn how to do it, they're going to feel better, even though in this moment they want us to do it, whatever that it may be for them. We have to just remind ourselves that just so too the way that we had to go through tough times and to be able to like have that refining process that
Mhm.
that makes a diamond shine bright. We had to go through it. They have to go through it too. So I believe wholeheartedly that we have to just let them go through things and resist temptation, resist their beckoning to us, help me, help me, help me. We have to resist that, and we have to let them go through it and lean on somebody else. And one of the things that you said that I really appreciated is that as healers, we sometimes give out so much and we're not getting poured back into. I think we need to be intentional to make sure that as we're helping others, we're connecting with people that are healers that can pour into us so we don't feel depleted. I'm very, very intentional about that, to be around, because I think once upon a time, myself and others, like ourselves, people come to us. So we just stay a lot in that space of
Oh yeah.
helping people. But we need to make sure that we're connected to people that can pour into us and be doing that regularly.
It's true. And and it's important. I met an amazing life coach. I went to an event today. It was so beautiful. And I met an amazing life coach, and we just ended up pouring and sharing. And not many people understand the life of coaches, of life coaches. Not many people understand that we're the same as if you have a coach of a basketball team, a baseball team, rugby, netball, which is what they play out here. Like, coaches are needed in every area of your life, and life coaches, or the coaches that we are, we coach your mind, we coach your business. We Coaches are needed in every area, and it's really good to be able to speak to people who understand where you're coming from, because when you're talking to someone, they have that blank stare, like they've zoned out and they're not there anymore.
Right,
You can't really be filled from that, because there's just levels that they're not understanding, and everyone's on their own journey. No
right,
shade to anyone,
right.
but what I hear you saying, sis, is connect with people who can pour into you. what
Yeah,
i want what I want from my friend circle, my inner circle, my tribe, is for you to give me the same words that I gave you. We should all be speaking the same language. I don't mean an echo chamber. I mean that if I'm encouraging you, Lakeish, to go forward, to push forward, to do this, that I'm giving you that energy. So when I need it, when I'm depleted, when I'm like, girl, I can't do this anymore, you're like, here's this, and I hear my own words back to me. Often, healers pour into vessels that do not have the capacity to handle the depths. If you're a healer, baby, you go deep. There's no shallowness about you. You go deep. Often we pour into vessels that are like this when we need ones that are very vast and long and big. And then we
hmm
get frustrated. And what do we say, sis? I'm not sharing with anybody else. I'm never saying anything again.
right. That's
That's
true.
not the way. It's not the way it should be. We have to use
Yeah,
discernment. You mentioned discernment. I'm
exactly.
like,
That's
we've,
it.
we've got to use it. We have to.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I agree. I'm grateful for those, like-minded, like-spirited individuals who are, healers, wellness people, counselors, therapists, my network of people. So to your point, we encourage one another, and when we pour into one another, it can be absorbed
Yeah.
because we understand that language. To your point, we understand that language. So as I'm encouraging them, and then like you said, when you need it or I need it or whoever, they're able to encourage back. We need a lot of that, because those of us who are, as you say, healers, we're constantly pouring into others. And if we're not intentional, and that's one of my big key words, if we're not intentional, that's part of the reason why we sometimes experience burnout, even if it is our assignment, even if we are called. If we're not constantly having things poured into us, if we're not having the levels of relationships and connections that include who we're helping, who's have their hand to us, that we're encouraging along the way, but also who is encouraging us. It has to be a constant flow of both.
It
Otherwise,
does.
we won't receive what we need, and vice versa. Give other coaches, healers, therapists, what they need. So we need to constantly, intentionally, regularly be giving and receiving.
Giving and receiving. And it's like one cup pouring into another cup. And that's how we should be going through life. That's romantically, that's
Yes,
business wise, that's platonically, friendship,
yes,
family. And we have to recognize when we know, okay, some relationships, I'm not expecting you to pour into me because I know that you just don't have it, and
right,
this is a time of pouring for you. But if you enter into a reciprocal relationship and you expect someone to be pouring and they're not pouring and you continue to pour, that's how healers really say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. or I just feel so depleted. I just feel so drained. And it's like we're pouring into things that are not supposed to have it poured. It's not deep enough. And again, some people just aren't there, and that's okay. So we
Right.
need to find the right vessels. It's about finding the right vessels to pour into so we can know I'm going to pour here, and I know that this is going to pour back, and I know this is something that's going to refresh me, because there's nothing worse than being in a circle of
Yeah.
friends, of family members, of whoever, and really being depleted to the point where you're like, I don't want to do this healing thing anymore,
Right.
and I'm getting off the journey. And then we start to regress. We actually start to go backwards
Yeah.
because we were
Sometimes
on a
it's
good
true.
journey. And you gave us a perfect example of that today you had an opportunity to regress, which identifies that if you're called to heal, that you will choose to heal every single day, and sometimes every single minute, and every single hour, every single second. That if I've committed to be a person who uses my healing journey to heal others, that I cannot afford to go back to an unhealed space, not even for 1 second. And everyone's human. We all have our own emotions. But it's, if you're saying, okay, I'm healed, I'm going to do this, that our reactions, our interactions, our conversations, our communication should look very different than when we were unhealed. There should be a distinct difference.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
I start to wonder, okay, how do we measure that, and what does that look like for us to measure? I am changed, I am different by the way that I respond. I mean, you can see it, and you can tell. And then I really want to talk about what it feels like inside of us, because what we do to others is external, but what happens in here? How do we feel in here when we're committing to healing and then living out that healing? It's one thing to commit, and it's another thing to actually live it out.
Yeah, no, that's true. And as you were talking, I was thinking, for me, it's the lifestyle for me. It's a lifestyle. It's I have committed to this life of freedom. I believe I've stated this before. That's another one of my favorite words. I've committed to this lifestyle of freedom that is afforded to me on this healing journey as I've
Yeah,
been doing the work. I'm free in my mind, I'm free in my spirit, in my heart. So
yeah.
because I've tasted, as far as the question of how I feel at peace. And so when I've tasted that, once that's something that I've done the work with the Lord above to get to this place in my mind and my heart, then it becomes a choice that I want to take every single time when I may be confronted with any kind of test. Today, as a matter of fact, this week, truth be told, I when you really get to this place, sometimes you feel like you're being tested every other day, several times a day. But still choose, I still choose the peace that is so freeing, and it makes me feel so good over the regression, right? Because in our humanity, it's tempting, but I sort of have this. We talk about self-awareness. I mentioned this, and I'm very reflective. So I'll do a quick check in that moment in my head. It's kind of like split second decisions. Like I could say something. I could be
Yes.
in my feelings, but split second thoughts to be like, nope, not doing that. This is a beautiful day. Grateful for another beautiful day, as I say. So
Huh?
I just tell myself that, you got to speak over yourself. Sometimes we don't have that coach, that therapist, that whoever it is, that friend, that person, that go to. In that moment, sometimes we got to speak over ourselves and coach ourselves into the choice that will lead us to the peace and freedom and joy, all the goodness that the Lord has given us if we choose that. We just, it's a choice. It's a choice for me. It's a lifestyle for me. So I feel good, more than good, when I continue to make that choice to stay healed and not regress.
It's a choice. Healing is a choice. And if we don't choose to heal, then we choose to be unhealed. Every day we make a choice. Every day we're presented with opportunities to go back into our unhealed spaces. And what you just said, it's you got to choose, and you have to say, I don't have to go back there. That's the beauty about healing, though. It gives you the opportunity to walk a different path than what we were raised in, our culture, our community, right? The things that have been ingrained in our family. It gives us a choice to say, you guys are walking on that path. I'm actually evolving past that path, and I don't want to walk there anymore. So if I'm choosing to walk on a healed path, I really can't even step a foot on the other one, because it's easy to be sucked back in, and it's easy to say, you know what, this is my nature. A lot of us, our nature is to be unhealed, and it's just the truth that based on the families we were raised in, the communities we were in, the experiences we had, our regular nature is to be unhealed. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to go against nature, and that's what it means to come out of this world, that to
Yeah.
come out and to be separated, to come out and be peculiar, to come out, you know, a royal
Yeah.
priesthood. We're talking about our identity. When I'm dipping into that, I'm like, I have to come out of, if I was born this way, then I need to be reborn and born again into my true nature, which is
Yes.
me walking in the coolness of the garden and communing with the Father and
Mm.
supping with him, and he knows me and I know him. That's
Yes.
our baseline. And
Right.
when sin entered, then we got off our baseline. So let me
Yeah.
go back to where I'm supposed to be in a
Yeah.
healed way, in the midst of chaos and crying and shame and financial crisis and all type of mental things going on. We still have to honor our commitment. You have to honor the covenant that you made. You have to be almost, you have to go into a relationship with healing.
Yeah.
And we might hate healing, and we might want to punch healing in the face. And I'm,
Right.
sis, come
Yes.
on. Are we
No,
being
it's true.
honest?
No, you are being so honest. No, real talk. Like I said, I'll do the little coaching in my head if I'm being tested.
Girl.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, sometimes on my journey in my head, before I, resolve to my healing, and I either act or say something that is
Mhm.
indicative of healing. But before I get to that point in my mind, real quick, because many of us, our minds are like computers, where we just thinking of much. In my mind,
Thinking.
before I get to a calm space, I might be like, them don't know me, but it's all right.
Listen.
I'll be like, me could have said something, but like I'll just be going through it. Like you said, community, culture, whatever is in us. So, I'm not one for a pop off, but I could have a slick mouth. But I try to use it for good.
Listen, slick as oil,
Yes.
and I'm in South Africa, right? And the systems here, I love this country. It just agrees with me, but the system here is not like it is in the States or the UK or in more westernized places, right? There's a very much so system of, we'll kind of get to it when we get to it,
Mm.
and we'll kind of handle it when we handle it. As many, Caribbean and other places are, Middle Eastern, definitely, like Greece, all these places act like this. So I want to, I have to measure myself if I go down and ask for assistance, and then I'm not getting immediate attention. I can't be like a Karen. I
Right.
can't call the manager. They don't
Call
care.
everybody on them. Oh my
It's,
gosh.
and it's not
Right.
that they don't care. It's a different way of life.
Right.
And if we're not willing to evolve and adapt and to morph into the spaces we are, while encouraging people, because I told them about their system in a respectful way. Hey, what's going on? Expressing my opinion, but I don't need to be like, ugh, ugh. So I was in the
Exactly.
office of my building. I was taking my deep breaths, and I even told the young lady who's helping me, I said, she's like, I'm going to get to you. I said, oh, no worries. I'm taking my deep breaths, and I closed my eyes. And I took my deep breaths because everything in me
Whew.
wanted to jump over the table and say,
Yes.
I want help right now.
Right now.
Who am I to do that? If I'm
Yeah.
claiming to be healed,
Right.
I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm healed, that my goal is to help other people be healed. Our witness matters. So I took
Right.
my deep breaths, and her face was pained, because I think they expect Americans to cut up. And we
Yeah.
cut up sometimes,
We could have sometimes, and we could if we wanted to. But like you said, if we're trying to be reflective of healing, we
Come
gotta
on.
be like, we gotta do whatever we gotta do to take it down a notch. Like, you know what? Oh.
I said, I put my arms on the desk. I said,
Girl, yeah. I be
And
doing
I
deep breaths almost every day too, so I feel you.
every day you have to do it, and I always say to clients in my practice, if you can breathe, you can relax.
Mm,
As long as there's breath here, ruach, as long as there's breath in your body, as long as your lungs are still able to expand, even at any capacity. Some people's lungs are only working at 30, 40. As long as your lungs can expand to any capacity past 1%, you can relax. You can take shallow, short breaths. But we have to make sure that we know what to do for ourselves. Healers, I'm talking to you,
yeah,
because it's the healers who have to make sure that we're the ones who are not blowing up. That if we're dealing with people who might not have our coping skills, who might not know how to breathe, that we're not letting people trigger us, because the ones we heal, we don't want to hurt. See how the cycle goes? That if we're healed and we're called to heal people, that it is a very thin line also to go right back to hurting someone, because we don't have the grace. They're not on our assignment list, and we don't have the tolerance for them. That is major.
right. So true. So true. So true. We have to
Yeah,
continuously work on ourselves so that we can be what we need to be for those who we are called to help. So true. Excellent point.
we have to, we have to. And then I had another question, like, okay, how do we help heal people? How do we help assist people with healing, um, from our current level? What does that look like for us to say, okay, I'm at this level of healing, and I'm going to either elevate my level of healing so I can help you, because that's what life coaching is. Let's get a little insight. As long as a life coach, as long as you stay 10 steps ahead of the people that you're coaching, even 3 steps sometimes, even 2 steps, right, where you have accomplished this goal that you want. So if we're just another level of healing than someone else, that we measure and say, oh man, is this a good space and a place for me to help heal? We're talking
Right.
about the assessment. How do we know that we're at the right level? And I'm just rehashing, because it's something we need to ask.
Yeah.
How do we know that at our current level, we can say, okay, this person is close enough to my level to heal? Or sis, are we like, you're too far from my level, can I not assist you at the moment? Like, what does that process look like?
That's a good thing. Again, another good thing to ponder as far as like how we sort of decide like, well, it says who's assigned to us, but sort of how we help them to heal. Um, I agree that they need to, I guess, be at a level where we can help them. You know, that where we pour that, like I like what you said, like a couple steps ahead of them, right? We don't want to be at the same place needing the same type of help that somebody else needs. Then it was like, I don't say the blind leading the blind, but I wear
Yeah.
glasses and contacts, so I can make that joke. I'm not offending
Ah,
nobody. Yeah, just thought I would share. But yeah, you don't want to be the blind leading the blind in the sense that you are not yet it's a good and a good healing space on whatever it is that someone else needs your help at. So I agree that we need to at least be in a good space of that they need help for. But I also feel like if we can if we can talk about something that someone may need help with in a way that is very clear and calm and
yeah,
can make help them to make sense of something. So for example, a lot of the population that I work with, that I help or heal, if you will, in addition to educating, I just kind of, it's all rolled into one for me as an educator, are younger people. And, actually I had one come to me this week about, not related to content, but I always tell them, I said, listen, I'm here for you. I want to help you learn the content, but if you also, just want to talk, I'm here for you, and so forth. And so, they were sharing something about good old teenage lifestyle, and, you know, in a way that was relatable, I was able to communicate to the person in an encouraging way, but in a way that kind of helped them to see. I think when you're a healer, helper, whatever, coach, whichever one of those things you are,
yeah,
you want to make sure that you are helping someone by helping them to see the choices they have, the growth potential that they have,
yeah,
um, and help them to see not too much focus on, you, but in a certain way, helping them to see a certain mindset, a certain way that they may kind of be thinking in this way, but they need some affirmation, if you will. So off the top, I'm just thinking in terms of how we help people. We help them by helping them to see a perspective that they may not by themselves be able to see yet. But once you kind of breaking it down to them in a way that you believe they would understand based on your relationship with them, how you know that they might be able to receive the lesson, if you will. That's just what comes to mind in terms of some of the ways that we can help someone. Um,
That's beautiful. And I love what you said about letting people know about the choices they have. I mean, the goal of any good healer is to train up and raise up other healers, that you are helping people to the point where they're like, oh, I'm healed and now I'm going to help someone else. It's just planting seeds, that the goal is, I always say this, especially about therapy and even life coaching. Like, this is one of the only professions where we want to be fired. Fire me.
yes.
Because you firing me, you letting us know, you know what, I think I'm at a good place right now, and we can verify it. Like, I agree. You've met your goals. We've gone over your plan. It lets us know that you are actually absorbing what we're saying and you're taking it and making it your own and carrying it out and incorporating it into your lifestyle. You mentioned it's a lifestyle. Healing
Mm,
is a lifestyle.
yes.
It's not something you just pick up and, well, like, that looks cute, I'm gonna purchase that. It's a lifestyle. It's something that we live all the time. And when we adopt healing as a lifestyle, that means that we're willing to consume it in every shape, form, and capacity. And then when you consume it, you have seeds to give out, and you say to someone else, hey, I want to help you. I want to share my healing energy with you, in hopes that you will take so much of this healing on, and you'll say, I'm healed enough, and you'll spring forth, and the seeds of healing will continue on and on and on and on. And we show people a different path. And it's the most beautiful path to see,
Amen.
because you can tell when someone gets it, whether it's in business, mindfulness, just life in general, relationships, religion, spirituality. You can tell when someone clicks and it's like, oh, I'm going to adopt this as a part of me now. When you
Mm,
talk about healing, that means it's a part of our identity. That there's no Stephanie, no Lilac Calandra without healing. That my identity is not my identity if I'm not speaking
mm,
about healing. And not healing as a crutch. I want to bring up that
mm,
too. That sometimes healers use healing as a crutch.
mm.
That we're healing everyone else, but we don't focus on our own stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. We have to be the model. We have to actually do the work as well. I couldn't agree with you more. We have to. We
Yeah,
have to.
it's a reality, and it's all about assessment and looking and seeing what we need to do.
Yeah.
That I'm giving you medicine and I have my spoonful and I'm trying to
Mm,
feed it to you and you take it. I have to then, I talked about this for probably the past couple, 3 days, it's been coming up, that spoon of medicine, as bitter and as nasty as it could be,
mm,
that we have to take that too. And that the very things that we're saying to other people in a healing way,
mm,
that we're open and receptive to taking it, or we become hypocritical and we become so calloused
mm,
and you become cynical towards healing, that it's good enough for you, Lakeish, but it's not really, it doesn't really work. Like, therapy is good for you,
mm.
sis, but doesn't really work for me. Like,
Yeah,
hold on.
like wait a second. Why for you, but for me rather, but not for you? No, you're so right. And what I'm hearing, sis, too, is like we have to stay humble. We have to maintain a
Woo!
level of humility as healers, coaches, therapists, because I think for some people, especially, many of us, and I respect that we work hard for our degrees and credentials and
Mhm.
letters, but I know throughout my career journey, my life journey, I've worked with people who, whether they say it or that's exuded, it's like I got my letters, like, like they in a sorority or something, like I got my letters behind my name. So to your point, for some people, then it becomes like, I'm the all knowing, people get healed by me, and I teach a course on this, or, and I'm not trying to be shady, but to your point, we need to not just arrive with our credentials and our letters and our what have you. And I respect that. And I say that clearly because we work hard, for whatever credentials, degrees that we have to be able to do the work that we do. So I respect it. However, to your point, we can't be hypocritical and we have to stay humble, because the same things that we are encouraging others to do in their healing journey, and the same strategies and all these other things, we can never be too far removed from those things for our benefit as well.
We cannot, and it's very dangerous to do so. And I see my other sis. She just put a comment up. She's a co-host on the other podcast where we're talking about healing in every space and platform. So Let This Mind is also talking about the same stuff. But when you don't take your own healing seriously, you really do become cynical to it, and you almost become resentful to it, because you watch the people that you help to heal. And it's not like, okay, we have this healing and we are able to say something and do something in our actions and the words we use to just penetrate people's hearts and really break down the barriers that people have put up. We're watching people that we have assisted in their healing journey, and we're watching them excel. We're watching their rocket ships take off to the moon. Like, if we could actually break out of the firmament, we're watching them actually take off to the outer planets, but we're still sitting in the same place. So we're resenting that.
So true.
And write the letters. And we have the letters. I have a nice MFT after my name. That indicates that I went through some type of grueling, it was a hellish program. Internship. You have to rip yourself apart to build yourself back up. But if I am not really implementing that to myself first, if my healing is not passing through my own system first so I can give it out, those letters mean nothing. Those letters are absolutely nothing. They're just 3 letters in the English alphabet, and they have no weight and they have nothing to it. And it's really important that we not get lost in our letters, and that we not get lost in what we think we deserve. And it is the humility piece. And people are like, oh, they'll say something and they're like, oh, you probably already know this because you're a therapist. I don't approach me in that way.
Right.
I want to hear, because I don't know. How could I know everything about psychology, life coaching, mindfulness? I can't. If you know something, tell me, and I want to have the conversation. And I appreciate you for sharing with me. Sometimes the letters scare people. Oh, I know you already know that, whether it's MFT, MSW, MBA, whatever it is.
Yeah.
MED, whatever we're talking about, whatever we have to say, I am still operating in a way, because I'm a healer, that I am humble. I know a lot and I can share on a lot, but I'm still so open to learning that whatever you're saying, don't assume that I know it. Let's have a conversation about it. And it's really about maintaining that space. You said it, that humility.
Have to.
It's everything.
But have to.
It's
no, absolutely. You're so right. And it's like, look, I'm still in school, finished up counseling, but still, to your point, you don't know what I know. I don't know what you know. But even still, if I might have an idea or you have an idea, let's still have the conversation and help us, because I may have learned it one day in one class, but that does not mean that I do not want to get at a further depth. I don't want to learn. We have to stay with a willingness to learn and grow. So I love that was mentioned, but I see we have some comments. So,
I mean, it's talking about that applied wisdom, and we have the wisdom, and then you apply the knowledge,
Yes.
And really we have to do the work on ourselves and for ourselves so that we can help other people.
Yes.
And people can tell if you've done the work. You can't fool anybody.
It's more evident if you just sounding like saying in quote unquote intelligent words is one thing, but when you can it shines through. It shines through if you've actually done the work.
It shines through. It's right in your face, and it's there, and you can't fake it or hide it. And people might smile and skin and grin in your face, but they know, now this person isn't authentic and real. And it'll make them not trust what you're saying, and you really shift and say, I can't receive from this person. I never want to make someone not be able to receive from me. That it isn't. Don't look at the vessel, hear the words that are being said, and know that the person saying them has actually been through a healing process. that is going to help change your life because it helped change mine, you know. So,
Amen.
but I do want to say that we're almost at our time.
What? Oh no, our conversations be flowing and going. Oh my
I
gosh.
know. So
Oh my
we're
gosh.
almost there. So I wanted to, as always, let's do our wrap up, and then I have an announcement about our next episode. But we are hitting our time. We want to make sure that we're doing our wrap up. And this was Healed People, Heal People.
Mm.
Um, so what are we wrapping up with, sis?
You know, this episode is just right on time. I feel like it's so purposeful, especially with what we've shared that we've both been talking about this week in other spaces. But, heal people, heal people. As we've been talking about, listeners, just continue to be on this healing journey. Hopefully, you're listening and you're on it. And if you're in a position to help others, just that self awareness, just make sure that you're in the space to do that. And if you are, do that. Remember to take care of yourself. Let some others pour into you who are like you so that we can continue to have that giving and receiving, that reciprocity, as it were, because you're worth it. Choose freedom.
Choose freedom every time. Never let anybody take you back to the path of being unhealed.
Mm,
It's such
yes.
an enticing path. It's like the broad path and the narrow path. Staying
Mm-hmm.
on the narrow path is healing. Going on to the unhealed path is the broad path. It's so easy to do wrong. It's so easy to be unhealed. But
Mm,
choosing to remain a healed person that helps other people heal, that's major and that's big. And we're reiterating, we're on the journey with you, my love. We're here with
yes.
you. We're not above. We're walking the same path. You look to the side, you're like, oh, there's Lakeisha, there's Steph. We're on
Amen.
the
Yes.
living it out with you. All right. So announcement next time we podcast, the next time we have an episode, we'll have a special guest. His name is Jamel Watson. He wrote a book called Redeemed, a story of faith, trauma, and transformation. Look, we're gonna have him on as a guest. You can already hear from the title of that book that we're gonna talk about some deep stuff. Okay,
Yes.
so we want to make sure that you're tuned in for that. We'll share the flyer. We'll share his information, and we'll share the Amazon link so that you can check out his book because it is something that we need to be talking about. Redemption, transformation, and what that looks like all in the midst of trauma. So that will be not this week, but next week when we come back. We're excited to talk about that. And we want to have, we'll have some guests on who've been through it, who are helping others heal, and who know that healing is more than a hashtag. They live that out. So that's what we want to do. But
Yes.
sis, thank you. Thank you for your insight. Thank
Yes.
you for
Thank you so much, sis. Thank you to our listeners. We appreciate you so
yes.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will see you next time. Remember to protect your healing and to choose every single hour, minute, second of the day to remain healed. Easy to go back. It's a challenge to stay, but we're here with you. We're sending you our prayers, our love, our energy, that you would have the courage to stay on the path of healing. Don't let anybody take you back because you know the way you need to go. So we will see you next time. Thank you for
Next
being here.
time.